Patriots got to win. You know? The Patriots jacket, you got to win. Come on, Hank.
It's 11 o'clock, and we're ready to start our Veterans Day program. So if you could please take your seats. We'll begin in just a moment.
Everybody went to the sides this year.
Hi, Jim. Conrad. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can tell.
Set. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, elected officials, parade participants, and especially our veterans. My name is George Ponce, and I have the privilege of being the Director of Veteran Services for the town of Weymouth. On behalf of the Weymouth Veterans Council and Mayor Michael Malice's office, I would like to welcome you to the 2025 Veterans Day exercises. It's great to be with you again. Happy Veterans Day. I'm going to repeat myself just a moment. For those that need it, a restroom is up to the left of the building there or across the street next to the Roll of Honor. Also, if anyone feels unwell, we do have emergency services here. Just raise a hand and we'll have a first responder to you right away. So please be safe. We begin our program with the opening prayer. I would like to invite Reverend Brad Hultman, the Weymouth Veterans Council chaplain and a former U.S. Marine and Army veteran, to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Lord God, we remember before you today the servicemen and women who have sacrificed much for the liberties we now enjoy, especially those who have died in the service of our country, and we commit their families to your care. Finally, we ask that their sacrifice inspire in us a greater service to our country and our people. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Hultman. Please remain standing. Members of the Weymouth Veterans Council will be presenting the flags. Please rise for the posting of the colors. Honor Guard, post the colors. And salute. And 2. The wind is playing havoc with the program here, excuse me. And if you would now please face the flag and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Please welcome me in welcoming Ayla Ash to lead us in song. Ayla is in the 5th grade and the granddaughter of Mr. Lou Rizzo, our guest speaker at the Korean War Memorial Ceremony. She's the daughter of Jessica and Brian Ash. Brian is the shop teacher at Chapman Middle School, and Jessica is one of our dedicated healthcare providers at Boston VA. So, Ayla.
What so proudly we hailed
Very, very nice, Ayla. Outstanding. Am I back? Outstanding job, Ayla. Thank you very much. You all may be seated now if you would like. Please note the POW MIA chair in front of the podium. It has special meaning today because Weymouth helped bring that number down by one this past weekend when we welcomed home Weymouth World War II war hero, Private Alfred Langevin, and laid him to eternal rest in his family plot at Fairmount Cemetery. We'll say a couple more words about him later on, but it's especially significant because he was noted as a missing in action for a year before he was declared killed in action because they never recovered him. And that was just 81 years ago, plus a few days, November 6, 1944, he went missing in action. I'd like to share with you those words on the inscription of the POW MIA plaque. Those who have served, currently serving, or never served in the armed forces of the United States should remain ever mindful that enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others, including families, who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment. This empty chair should cause us to pause and recognize the more than 92,000 Americans that remain missing from World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Cold War, the Vietnam War, and every conflict since. Thank you very much for your attention to that. At this point, I'd like to ask Arthur Sharp to please come up and tell us about Armistice and Veterans Day. Is Arthur? Oh, excuse me. I forgot he had other details today. I will share that with you then. When World War ended, an armistice was signed on the 11th day of the 11th month of the 11th hour, which is why we recognize Veterans Day, why we start so promptly at 11. This document was meant to be an instrument to signify the war to end all wars. This was in 1918. In 1938, Congress made November 11th a national holiday. Then when World War II came and went, there was VE Day, victory in Europe, and VJ Day, victory in Japan. The American people still held to their national holiday on November 11th. President Eisenhower signed a bill proclaiming November 11th as Veterans Day, calling upon Americans to rededicate themselves to remember the cause of peace. He proclaimed the day an occasion for honoring veterans of all wars. I think it's especially, you can note that it was President Eisenhower, a former commander of the military forces in Europe. As he was asking for peace, because no one hates war more than the soldier or the sailor or Marine. 1968, the 98th Congress passed legislation to change the national observance of Veterans Day. And since 1975, it's always been recognized on November 11th. So I want to thank you for that. Moving on, unfortunately, not all who leave home to defend their country return home. The price some service members pay comes in many fashions, but the end is still the same. Families are without a loved one. Please join me in a moment of silence as we recognize those Gold Star family members who unfortunately didn't have their loved one return. Thank you. You know, many times I've been in places where they ask for a moment of silence and you can hear the whispering and you can hear the sounds going off. Every time we have asked the folks here to observe the moment of silence in respect of those we've lost. I haven't heard a single thing, so I want to thank you for the reverence and the honor you pay those folks. Every Veterans Day, the Veterans Council honors a couple of folks in the community that they feel deserve the recognition. This year, we are recognizing as Honorary Chief of Staff and Honorary Grand Marshal 2 members of the Weymouth Veterans Council. Our Honorary Chief of Staff today is U.S. Air Force veteran Frank Burke. Frank was an aircraft mechanic in the Air Force, and he's well known around Weymouth, and especially in the veteran community. Frank is one who never lost his desire to serve. He is a former Weymouth Veteran Service Officer, former town meeting representative, town council member, and former commander of the American Legion Bean Post 79. I had something I was going to add, but Frank's going to say a few things about that. So I would just like to add, too, many folks in the Senior Center would recognize him as the longtime Santa Claus over there, putting a smile on many, many seniors' faces, as well as many of the children's faces here in Weymouth throughout the years. I would like you to put your hands together and encourage Frank to come on up and say a few words to us.
Thank you, George. Just a few words. It's cold, but you knew that. Mayor Elise, members of the Weymouth Town Council, the school committee, most worshipful George Hamilton, the Grand Master of Masons of Massachusetts, my fellow veterans, my friends on the Hill, from the George R. Bean Post, and my comrades in the DAV Chapter 65, good morning. I have been active in Weymouth since we moved in '79. I ran for town meeting member in 1980 and was introduced to civic duty through the North Weymouth Civic Association. And then I met up with Fran Tucci and a few others, and became active in the Bean Post and in Veterans Affairs. Was fortunate enough to have a couple of mayors that thought that I was good enough to be able to serve our fellow veterans as a veteran service officer. And I enjoyed several good years doing that with the help of many, many people. And I stand here today humbled by the honor. It's a nice way to go out. And I know George didn't mention it, but in 1967, on the Marine Corps birthday, I was home on leave and got together with a bunch of my friends from Dorchester, and we were going to a party. And I didn't have a vehicle at the time, and my friend and best friend, Kevin Duffley, who was a Marine Corps sergeant, I think, at the time. He was on convalescent leave at Chelsea Naval Hospital for wounds in Vietnam. He said, "Come on, Frank, you can ride with me." And he took this lovely young lady named Carol Fall to the party. And that was 57 years ago. Well, this airman brought her home. And next month, we will celebrate our 55th wedding anniversary. My beautiful wife, Carol. Thank you, honey, for all the support over the years. Now it's your time. So, thank you again for this honor. It's a great way to go out. Thank you, George, and you know I'll be around to help whenever I can, wherever I can. Thank you again. Thank you, Weymouth.
Frank has done amazing things for the community here. I owe a special debt to him when I first came here. He was my mentor. He, shared everything he knew about it, including how, I believe it's Commercial Street changes direction like 18 different times throughout town. And it goes here and there and everywhere. And I was totally confused that first night, but I've learned to love the little special aspects of the community here. For our honorary Grand Marshal, we are recognizing U.S. Army veteran George A. Kelly Jr. Unfortunately, George isn't here right now. He is recovering from a bout with the weather and the little bit of illness. He was born in 1938 to George and Dorothy Kelly, and one of 4 children, sisters Joan and Patricia, and brother Michael. George joined the Army in 1959. He never received formal job training with the Army, and for those that know George, that's not a surprise. He doesn't really follow the normal standards of anything. But when he arrived in Germany, he was assigned as a water purification specialist and with a unit in Germany, and later became a supply sergeant with an engineer company. He completed his stint with an assignment at Camp Roberts in Central California. He later joined the Army Reserve, the 1037th Training School in Boston. He used the GI Bill and then worked for the U.S. Postal Service for 30 years. When he retired from there, he wasn't tired, so he started working for the South Weymouth Naval Air Station, and he closed that in 1997. He still needed something to do, so he worked for Quincy Auto Auction until the age of 84. George and his wife Rosemary have been married 52 years, have 6 children, 6 grandchildren, 1 grandchild. He's a longtime member of the Weymouth Elks, American Legion Bean Post, and the Weymouth Veteran Council. He had a knack of keeping our council on track. During the meetings, it is known to make a motion to adjourn as soon as the necessary business has been conducted. So people like Frank and George are inspirations to others. I'd like you all, please help me give a round of appreciation to both of them. So once again, this is a day we set aside for all those people that have served their country who made it home. We began today by encouraging people to decorate floats, inviting groups, and we want to say we really appreciate everyone that did participate. We do want to recognize those that went the extra mile and were selected as the best in their class for the floats. The 2025 Youth Award goes to Troop 19 of the Scouts. Thank you very much. The 2025 Civic Association Award goes to the North Weymouth Civic Association. The 2025 Business Entry goes to a local favorite, the Donut King. And the 2025 Commander's Choice, and I think this might have been rigged, goes to Francine Nesson's Mustang. So, for those of you that know her, she's a longtime member of the Weymouth Veterans Council and a retired postal worker in the Landing. Let's see. At this time, I would like to thank several people that showed up. I wasn't expecting them, but we have members of the Army recruiting station out of Quincy. They decided they were able to fit us into their schedule. Thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to be here today, Sergeants. Please stand up so we can recognize you. Thank you very much. And they brought along 2 of Weymouth's future veterans. We have Private McGilvery and Private Montero here with us today. Would you please stand up? I want to congratulate you two on making a very good decision. Joining the military is a great way to start your adult life. I'm sure you'll do great things going forward. Thank you again, and please, anytime you're in town, you're going to visit with the Veterans Council. Thanks for being here. We're going to hear from the band. They've been standing ready in just a moment. But before that, I'm sure you folks have noticed that beautiful cannon sitting over there. I mean, I'm a former forward observer for the artillery, so it holds a special place for me. To tell us a little bit about it, I would like to introduce George Forrest Hamilton. He is the Grand Master of Masons in Massachusetts, and he's going to share a little bit with us today. Grand Master, please.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, distinguished guests, brethren, ladies and gentlemen all, it's my distinct privilege and great personal pleasure to be with you here today in Weymouth for Veterans Day in this very special location. We're here to commemorate the Knox expedition and the noble train of artillery. The story of the evacuation of Boston in 1776 really depends on a couple prominent Masons in Massachusetts. It just so happens that we also have two lodges named after them today, the Major General Henry Knox Lodge in Boston and the Rufus Putnam Lodge in Rutland, Massachusetts. The two men, although very different, both were self-educated and avid readers who were highly motivated, and their contributions made it possible to drive the British from Boston in 1776. Henry Knox was a patriot, and he had joined the local militia in Boston in 1772. At roughly 6 feet tall and weighing 250 pounds, he was a commanding presence. He is believed to have been a member of the Sons of Liberty and an eyewitness to the Boston Massacre in 1770. He married Lucy Flucker in 1774. At the outbreak of the war, the occupation of Boston ruined his thriving bookstore. After colonial militia forces trapped the British in Boston and began the siege, Knox and his wife were able to escape Boston with his sword sewn into Lucy's petticoat. They were able to pass through the British lines without it being discovered, and he carried that sword with him for the duration of the war. Henry Knox first met George Washington in July of 1775 at age 25, and they would form a strong personal and professional relationship for the rest of their lives. On November 17th, Washington appointed him as colonel of the Continental Artillery Regiment, but there were no artillery to command. Knox had proposed a plan to transport cannon from Fort Ticonderoga in New York, which was recently captured by Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys, and Washington agreed to that plan. The Knox expedition left Boston in November and reached Ticonderoga on December 5th. The expedition successfully moved 60 tons of cannon in the dead of winter over approximately 300 miles of frozen ground in what would be called the noble train of artillery. The expedition arrived in Boston in January of 1776. Rufus Putnam was born in 1738 in Sutton, Massachusetts, and served as a soldier in the French and Indian War. He worked as a millwright, and he was a self-educated man who studied geography, mathematics, and surveying. Putnam enlisted in one of the Massachusetts 1st Regiments on April 19, 1775. He was later commissioned as a lieutenant colonel in the Continental Army. Putnam used his experience working with British military engineers during the French and Indian War to build fortifications in Roxbury and other locations that were critical to the siege of Boston. Putnam borrowed a military book that showed him additional techniques for building defensive fortifications. Using ideas from the book, Putnam devised a system for fortifying Dorchester Heights. The frozen muddy ground presented a real challenge, and digging was impossible, and any signs of visible fortifications and cannon before they were ready would have brought a quick British response. The technique was to use timbers and fascines which could be prefabricated out of sight of the British and would allow the defenses to be put up overnight. These fortifications were proof against small arms and grape shot. The British were taken completely by surprise when in a matter of hours they woke to see cannon on Dorchester Heights. General William Howe said, "My God, these fellows have done more work in one night than I could make my army do in 3 months." This left the British with little alternative but to evacuate Boston. Were it not for the ambitious plan of the 25-year-old bookseller with a love of artillery and a self-educated millwright who was an amateur military engineer, the revolution might have had a very different outcome. The cannon that we cast is similar to one of the cannons brought by Henry Knox, and it started its journey this July at Fort Ticonderoga. We have this as a living history exhibit as it travels across the country. We are pleased to be able to make this special stop today and share the story of Henry Knox, an outstanding veteran. We will be making additional stops in preparation for Evacuation Day on March 17th at Dorchester Heights. Thank you all for the chance to be with you today, and thank you to all of our veterans.
Thank you, Grandmaster. Appreciate that. And now I would like to introduce the Weymouth High School Wild Cart Marching Band. I want to say that they were tremendous throughout the parade, and look forward to hearing them as they play Maroon and Gold. Very nice. Very, very nice. I'd like to introduce Pascal Berga, Acting President of the Weymouth Town Council, as she will introduce members of the Town Council and other elected representatives before saying a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Ponce. Good morning, everyone, and to the members of the Weymouth Veterans Council, the Gold Star families, veterans, members of our armed services, their families, and fellow residents of the town of Weymouth. I'm Councilor Berga, Acting President of the Weymouth Town Council. I'd like to begin by recognizing my fellow councilors who are here with us today. Councilor Coughlin, Councilor Matthews, DeFazio, McDougall, Shinny, Shanahan, Palazzo, and members of the school committee. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for joining us as we come together to honor the men and women who have served and who continue to serve our great nation. Veterans Day reminds us that freedom is not free. It is earned and protected every day by those who step forward, wear the uniform, and dedicate themselves to something greater than themselves, to service, to duty, and to country. Our veterans come from every walk of life, from big cities and towns like Weymouth, but they share courage, conviction, and unwavering commitment to selfless service. They are our neighbors, co-workers, family, and friends. For me, this day carries special meaning. My husband and son both currently serve in the armed forces. And like many of you with loved ones in uniform, I know the pride and the worry that come with the commitment, the waiting, the hoping, and the belief that service truly makes a difference. It does. And so does the community that stands behind its military families. Today, we not only honor our veterans, but also their families, the quiet heroes who shoulder the burdens of service with strength and grace. As we reflect on their sacrifices, let's carry forward their example of courage, integrity, devotion. Let's ensure gratitude isn't limited to this day, but shown in how we live, how we serve, and how we care for those who have borne the weight of freedom. To all of our veterans and those currently serving and their families, thank you. Your service is the backbone of our heart, of our community, and the heart of our nation. May God bless our veterans, our military families, the town of Weymouth, and the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Acting President Berger. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the Honorable Michael Melise, Mayor of the town of Weymouth, as he shares a few thoughts on Veterans Day.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here this morning. Glasses out so I can see what I'm doing here. I'd like to welcome the members of the Veterans Council, especially Honorary Frank Burke and George Kelly. Congratulations, Your Honor, this morning. Also the Gold Star parents, veterans members, service members, fellow residents, town council who's here today, the school committee, Representative Murphy, and Senator O'Connor for joining us this morning. This is a different Veterans Day for me. Serving as the city council for 25 years, I've been up here. This is the first time up here as your mayor. It's a little different this year. Veterans Day has always been special to me. My dad is a veteran, always here, every year sitting right over here. He passed away last week, so this is a different Veterans Day for me. My dad was very proud, U.S. Army veteran. He taught his family, as many veterans and your families have taught you, to be proud of our country and brave men and women who are called to defend. Being a veteran is a title. It must be earned. We are very lucky, America, that we have always had enough sons, daughters willing to face the challenge necessary to earn this distinction. It is very common today when meeting a veteran to extend sincere thank you for your service. What is it we are thanking them for? One of the things we are thanking them for is they gave so much, more than they received. If you look closely, you tend to recognize some common traits of groups of people. One of the traits veterans is they place needs of others before their own. Whether it's the willingness to leave the comfort of their homes for months, years at a time, perform a needed task on behalf of the United States, or maybe deferring the dream of earning a degree until later in life. Veterans recognized in that order of society to function effectively in level of personal sacrifices needed. A veteran, for the most part, are willing to make a sacrifice. Many people talk about taking steps to make their world a better place, but veterans have taken that step and put it to personal action. Actions have always been spoken louder than words. A large number of veterans continue to serve their country and community their time of military. This is no accident. That a high percentage of law enforcement, firefighters, first responders, and veterans, they continue to value public safety higher than their own personal safety. Veterans are not only willing to rush towards danger when others are seeking safety, but they offer their lives in her defense. Thankfully, today, veterans, for all those who have returned home after their service. In recent years, it's been very easy to express our appreciation for those men and women in uniform. And for those of us with a few gray hairs, we remember it for not always that way. Vietnam War ended 50 years ago. Our returning Vietnam-era veterans were not treated fairly. As a country, we have made a concentrated effort to correct that in the way those brave men and women were treated after returning home from their military time. This is one of the few times in our country's history we fail to recognize a person returning home and did not thank them for their service. Fighting the wind here today. They did not make policy, they answered the call of our country. Our parents taught us this is never too late to do something nice or try to correct a mistake. It's a period of recognizing the 50th anniversary draws to an end. I want to encourage all of you to welcome home and sincerely thank them. Almost other U.S. veterans have welcomed home after a conflict since a Revolutionary War. We live in a wonderful community here in Weymouth, as we saw this week of what went on here we had our soldier returned home after 80 years. Weymouth is rightly proud of our heritage and a place in heritage in history. Weymouth Veterans Memorial Wall behind me names of thousands of veterans who have served in conflict, many of them ancestors of our current residents here today. Please join me in continuing to appreciate the honor of the men and women who will be defending our principles, liberties, and way of life, not only during times of conflict, but also during times of peace. Standing ever vigilant during times of peace is one of the surest ways to avoid conflict. May God bless you all, God bless our troops, God bless our great nation, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Weymouth High School Marching Band, on the direction of Mr. Tristan Fuller, will now present a patriotic parade sequence. Thank you again. Very nice job. At this point in the program, I had originally set aside some time for Mr. Patrick Thompson to share some words about his uncle, who we laid to rest this past weekend, actually yesterday. His uncle was Private Alfred Langevin, and I'd like to share just a couple of thoughts. He unfortunately needed to go home, so he's unable to participate with us today. He's driving back to Pennsylvania. What he wanted to share with everybody was just how much he appreciated the welcoming that he and his family received once he heard the word that his uncle had been identified after all this time. Mr. Thompson was a lifelong Weymouth resident till he graduated college and moved down to Pennsylvania. So he has deep roots here. In fact, several times when they were doing the receiving line in Town Hall, he ran into old high school friends, and you could see the genuine warmth and friendship, of the folks here. But he was still overwhelmed by the way that Weymouth responded to the news of his uncle's return. An interesting thing about his uncle, Alfred Langevin, is that you'll see his name several places throughout town at the different Weymouth Veterans Memorials. He is located, his name is listed on the grotto because he grew up on Broad Street and attended Immaculate Conception Church. His name is one of those that were recognized as having paid the ultimate price during World War II that attended Immaculate Conception. He's also listed down at Fogg Library because when he joined, he was living down on Union Street. So his name is in a few places around town. For someone that served just a few months, he joined in January of 1944 and unfortunately went missing in November of 1944. But I just wanted to share with you the great appreciation that the family shared, and also from the Honor Guard to express to the community. He has done, Master Sergeant Hyde was the casualty assistance officer for the family, and he has helped with numerous burials, 17 different repatriations. That's the term that the Army uses to bring back those that have been identified. He said that Weymouth stood shoulders above any other community that he has had the pleasure to work with. We understood the significance. We grasped, how special it was to be able to identify him after all this time and to pull together the community, every civic organization, the Scouts, every group that was asked. In fact, didn't even have to ask. People were calling the funeral home asking what they could do in order to honor and recognize, our World War II hero, to welcome him home. So I just want to thank Weymouth for once again standing up and doing the right thing just because it's the right thing to do. So thank you very much for everything you did. At any Veterans Observance, it is just and appropriate to honor those that we have lost. All of those that are able, I would ask you to please rise as we render honors and salute to the departed. So Sergeant at Arms, we're only going to have one trumpet player at the end. So Sergeant at Arms, prepare to honor our departed with a final rifle salute. And salute. And 2. Thank you very much. Reverend Brad Hultman, would would you please come forward to give the benediction for the program?
Let us pray. Be with us, O Lord, in the hours and days to come, and may your blessing be upon us now, this day, and always. This we ask in your name. Amen.
Would members of the Veterans Council please come forward to retire the colors? Retire the colors. Hand salute. And two. You could all be seated. We're getting close to the end, but not quite there yet, sorry. I just want to thank a number of people. We want to thank the Department of Public Works for doing the flags. They were out there in the weather and taking care of things for both, the services for Ira Blanchard as well as today. So thank you very much. School Department, obviously, for the public address system and the grounds here. The Weymouth Police and Fire for their involvement, Weymouth Emergency Management for their traffic and safety assistance, and a special thank you to the Senior Center Transportation Office Driver Kenny, so he can transport some of us senior veterans around. We really appreciate it. And I've said it a couple of times, but I want to really thank the high school band for coming out. These are not the easiest conditions to play in, and I want to say you all sounded great. And I'd also like to thank the parents and the youth leaders that took the time out of their busy schedule, to help reinforce the importance of remembering our veterans so that we can enjoy the way we live. Let's see. I'd like to thank all of the different programs that were held across the town this week, the different assisted living centers that went out of their way to thank the veterans, and a special thanks once again to St. Francis Xavier School for the program they conducted last week, as well as participating. And also thank you to the Weymouth Braintree Elks for the lunch they're going to hold tomorrow for veterans, and the Rotary that held a special ceremony for Mr. Langevin's family and other veterans last night. And finally, I would like to thank three special people that really went above and beyond preparing for this. Betsy Harris, many of you know her, recently retired from the school. Donnie Norton, and also George Raymond. They all offered their special skills and made this possible. So thank you very much. The closing of our ceremony will be the singing of God Bless America, led by Ms. Liz Milch.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. Lord bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you very much, Liz. And I'd like to put out a special shout out to her son, who is currently serving on active duty with the U.S. Army, and he's doing well. Fort Riley, Kansas. So, thank you very much for that. And now, on behalf of our honorary Chief Marshal, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second that.
We have a second from the honorary Chief of Staff. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much for being here. Happy Veterans Day.